Gig life's work. Ever wonder if it's for you? You've come to the right place. That's what we're going to talk through. As entrepreneurs and business owners, we know that if we have a clear plan, anything becomes possible. And if you can have a clear plan, a clear process to create that plan, and a way to create clarity with your partner, your spouse, you can drive to amazing heights. So if you've ever wondered if the gig life is for you, well, you've come to the right place, and we're going to go through and talk this through. And I'm going to give you some specific tools that you can use to define, is this something that you really want to do? And then start to smoke out on how to vet it, see if this is going to be a good fit for you. So there's three primary areas when you're thinking about gig life. Number one is, what is the lifestyle you're looking to achieve? Why are you doing this? What's your motivations behind it? What does success look like for you? We'll talk through exactly how you can do that and how to assess that. The second is, what is the skill set you're going to be bringing to the table that you're going to be marketing? And then third, how can you test and vet these ideas? Where can you put it out there and very safely get ready to transition into that space? It's never been easier to start a business. So when we talk about gig work, well, let's define that. Gig work is typically something where you're hired as an independent contractor for a very short and limited period of time. Sometimes independent contractors can get hired and they'll come back over and over and over. It can be for long-term contracts. But gigs typically are a short-term gig to solve a specific problem, work on a specific project, or help with a certain to get from A to B, very clear and specific in what those are. Now, the gig economy is the fastest growing segment of the entrepreneur space in the United States by far. It's estimated there could be as many as 40,000 gig workers coming up soon. And one of the primary reasons for that is the flexibility it allows. Gig workers take the whole concept of time and how we're working and what working and when, and turns it on its ear. So the idea of working 40 hours a week, well, maybe that fits for you, maybe it doesn't. But in some cases, maybe you'd like to work a lot less. Maybe you only want to work 15 to 20 hours a week. Maybe you're an at-home parent and you want to have that opportunity. Maybe you're looking for something to supplement an existing job. Maybe you just love working and you're happy to work 60, 80 hours a week. Some people do. It gives you the ability to do that. But when you're starting with this, when you choose to say, hey, I'm considering going into doing some sort of gig work, well, I really would encourage you to start with the end in mind. And what I mean by that is help to define what would your ideal life look like in, say, a year. And to do this, there's a great tool. You can actually go to our website, aspiringsolopreneur.com. And on there's a free tool, doesn't cost you anything, just trade an email. But what it does is it allows you to go through, and takes about 10 minutes, and it'll give you a snapshot of where you're looking at your life on a holistic level. So it'll go through and it'll talk about what are your relationships, your family, your friends, your partner. It'll also talk about your health, your spiritual, your mental, and your physical health. And then also, what are your priorities around your time, talent, treasure? And then also in your business environment. But if you can look at everything on a holistic level and clearly define where do you want to be, what does amazing look like, then it's going to empower you to come back and decide, hey, this is how I want to build my life, my work life, to fit with the rest of my life. So let's use this as an example. If you're a parent, great. And you want to make sure you're there for your kids to see them off to school in the morning and then when they get home. That gives you a good 5-6 hour window that's pretty comfortable, times 5 hours a week. That gives you 20 hours a week, 25 hours a week, 5 hours to do home stuff. So you can say, okay, I can afford to do this time-wise, and if I was able to make X, Y, or Z, figure out what the number is, then how do I back into, I know I can make this much money, great. That's going to help supplement these things. It'll empower us to do A, B, and C. So in some cases, maybe you just want to do more adventure. My wife Rika and I live way up in the high country at 10,000 feet, and we have people coming through all the time here around Leadville that are living in their vans. Now, when I was a kid, living in a van down by the river, Chris Farley skit, that was a horrible thing. But now people are living in $200,000 vans doing tech gig work, or design, or who knows, all sorts of things, customer service, huge variety of things where people get brought in to do gig work, but they can live anywhere. So they go for a mountain bike ride, they go for a run, they do their health things that really matter to them. but they defined where it is they wanted to be, and then they figured out how to make the gigs fit in with that particular life. So to start with, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you consider looking at your life on a holistic level and defining what it is you want to be. What do you want that life to look like? Now again, in the book, if you're interested, we do have a whole course at aspiringsolopreneur.com that very safely, step by step by step, walks you through all this. I have done this hundreds of times. I've worked with thousands of people all over the world, and there are people out there who are gig workers who make over $1 million a year in very specific niches. I personally take over 2 months off a year doing adventure travel. It's what we love. I get to work with people I really enjoy, and I really have a solid impact in the coaching and advisory work that I do. I feel like the luckiest cat on the planet, but it's been a life that we designed. So the next step is going to be, what is defining the skill set you have? What is the marketable skill that's out there, and how do you vet that? And we really talk a lot about this in the book, but on a high level, usually this is going to come from one of two places, or actually I should say three. One would be previous professional life. If you've been an expert in something in the past, or if you currently are an expert in something, is there a way that you can transition that into more of a gig type economy, gig type of contract work? So it could be what you're doing now in a professional life. It could come from previous experiences. Maybe you've done things that nobody else has, and that's going to be of value, or you have a certain amount of experience. I work with some coaches who are ultra endurance athletes. They're badasses in these spaces. That's something that gives them a unique skill. Now, on top of that, they've gotten some certifications to help in their coaching aspect, so they've gotten better. So the first one is professional life. Second could be experiences. And then third may come from a supplement of adding additional courses. It could be certifications, could be different tools that allow you then to become better at what you're doing. This is where you can start to figure out what those look like and how to vet it. Because once you start to understand what that is, what is your unique value proposition? Then you can start figuring out, where can I promote this? And there is a ton of different sites that have gig workers, knowledge on demand, all sorts of different things where you can go and promote yourself. But you have to sort of figure out what you're great at. Now, a little side note here, remember there's an old saying that says riches are in the niches. And I firmly, firmly believe this. If you happen to say that, we'll use one of my running coaches as an example. She's an endurance, world-class professional ultra runner. She can coach people to run. That's good. There's some value there. But she's also a mom. So she's an ultra runner who's a mom who knows how to start balancing that life. That is even more unique. Then on top of it, she went to another course called Life on Your Terms, and she got a certification that empowers her to be even more unique because she can address people on a holistic level. So in her case, she's not just a running coach. She also understands the nutritional components. She understands what it's like to be a mom, and she understands what it's like to look at person on a holistic level. Now, she happens to live near me between Aspen and Vail, and it happens to be that there's a lot of people who are moms who want to be great runners. They happen to be moms. They need the nutritional help, and there's actually other things that are involved with that. So in her particular case, she can charge a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. She narrows it down to where she isn't appealing to everybody, but the people she is appealing to really, really are willing to comp her well for that time. And it's the same type of thing for you. I would encourage you to think about, what is your unique skill set? What are those components? And is there one or two things that you could do to help complement that and grow it? Now, sometimes we don't know what it is. I'm not sure where it fit, or I have some ideas, but I'm not even sure how to vet this idea. And I have to tell you that it has never, ever been easier to vet and test ideas to see, hey, is this a good fit for me to go? So you can stay in the existing job you're at, doing what you're doing, and research and test and vet everything out anymore. It is so much easier. So some really simple areas to go are A, once you come up with the idea what you think your skill set is, act as if you happen to be the person who's trying to solve that problem, your target client. Where would you go to solve it? Now for me, as an old guy, I like Google. I can go in, I can Google things and see where it's at. I can go to YouTube, AKA why we're here right now. But if you happen to be on Instagram, if you're an Instagram person or TikTok, whatever it is, how are people currently solving this problem? When you go there, start looking for a couple of things. A, how are they solving it? But B, really listen to the words they're using to address the concerns and the problems that people are being presented with. You can start to document these words, and it'll help when you start to do your own marketing and your own promotion. But you can also say, okay, what are the things here that I like? What are the things I don't like? What are the areas that I could add to this because of my experience or my own background? Is there a separate new course or something I could take that would differentiate me? Are there value adds that I can do with technology? Are there value adds with different types of gifts or books or who knows what? But how can you differentiate yourself? And then when you have that, the next step would be to start going around to people who you think might value what you're doing. Now, you don't want to sell them, you're just asking them, hey, I'm considering doing A, B, and C. If you were in my shoes, what would that offer look like? What would you find value and appealing? Now, you're not selling them, you're asking their opinion. And if you can listen twice as much as you speak, it's going to help you. But really try and understand where are they coming from and what are their beliefs. And I can almost promise that 9 times out of 10, if you do this 15 times, you're going to have at least one person says, yeah, and you know, if you start doing that, I would love to hire you to help me with it. Another area is start talking with people who are already doing it. People are like, oh my God, they're my competition. I don't want to do that. That's ridiculous. But you can go and call and ask their opinion. And if they don't want to talk to you, fair enough. But remember, the most beautiful sound to most people in the world is their own voice. And when somebody says, I'm interested in what you do, I'm curious, would you be willing to talk to me about it? Give me some advice. People are like, well, of course, how can I help you, young man or young lady? Now, in some cases, they may say, no, I'm too busy. Fair enough, move on to the next one. But I've seen more and more where people will do this and they'll actually reach out and say, yeah, I'm looking at doing this and I would be a little different than what you do. I'm at this area, but if you were in my shoes, how would you do this? And if that person's already full at what they're doing, they may say, you know what, dude, I'll give you referrals. I get 2 or 3 people a week that come in, or however it may be. And be able to start referring those people over in other places, and you may end up with a referral source. But again, you can do all of this, and we talk about this in the course, in the book, with very, very safely transitioning. Now, you need to build a roadmap. You need to be very intentional with this. There's ways that you can build a whole board of advisors. It costs you nothing, but you can have great legal advice, insurance, banking, a variety of different things to make sure that when you do step, you make sure, man, this is a no-brainer, we're gonna win. And when you do that, well, you've vetted the idea, you're gonna be able to transition into just the most amazing life. And I can promise you, when you do it, it is spectacular. Now, maybe a little bit of work to get there, but once you do, you'll be happy. So if you have any questions, by all means, please feel free to reach out to us. But also, if you like this, subscribe, watch some other videos here on the channel. And if you have any questions, please leave some comments. Keep smiling.